I think we don't start.
The link below, do you see it? Why are you watching me still? You haven't clicked the link yet. Click it. Click it. Click the link right now.
Do you go back to Jamaica? Do you want to go to Jamaica?
No, I've not.
You've never been?
I after COVID probably, yeah.
I've been to the tourist side of Jamaica.
Oh, okay. You see, it's funny because I've gone to every other country beside Jamaica.
Where have you been?
I've gone to Paris. I've gone to England.
That's where
I've
I wanna
gone, yeah. And I visited almost every state there is in America. Because my mom used to travel a lot growing up. We used to just out of nowhere just take the SUV and just go.
Really?
Yeah. So pretty much gone all over, up north, south. Yeah.
That's interesting, but it kind of makes sense now into how you are because you seem rounded.
Well, yeah.
So I guess because those experiences, when you get out of like
your orbit
area,
get out of your orbit. I tell people, get out of your orbit, like explore the world beyond your zip code.
Yeah.
It literally, I think exposure is the #1 key to growth. You have to be exposed to new things, be exposed to new foods, be exposed to new culture, be exposed to just a different environment.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just don't know that there's another, like there's other things that are out there.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, I'm all about exposure, and that's one of the things that's why I'm into what I'm into, because I want to expose Black boys and Black girls to the world beyond their orbit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is huge. Like I had the opportunity to travel and see the world because of work. Like when I did contracting, I've traveled to different states and I've seen other states. Oh, we in the show, bro.
Oh, whoa! I didn't even know that. I'm so sorry. Cool.
Nah, that's good. You didn't know it.
Not
yeah.
No
See,
work.
yeah.
Okay,
there you
cool.
go. Yeah,
okay.
we started rolling. You
Okay.
didn't know.
Wow. Wow. That's what's up.
But I had the pleasure when I contracted, and I had been to other states before, right? Mm-hmm. Just traveling with family. So that was cool, like getting out of my orbit. Mm-hmm. I like that you gave me that. I'm gonna use it too. But like, and then I had a chance to go to other countries, and I had heard about these other countries, and I had already like I started to develop. I've always had like an open mind, like what you would call an open mind, and that was by the grace of God that I wasn't like placed. Even though I grew up in areas where I seen people around me, do that, but like I never had a trapped mind. I remember, man, when I was young, I was always like open for adventure. Like I want to ride my bike as far as I can ride it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Until my parents I would go far. I just wanted to just go. Like I just wanted to go. I've always been the person on the move like that. So like when I had the chance to travel the world and to see other parts of the world, I was like, this is dope, because for work. But I was like, I'm gonna do this because I want to go see this other stuff, man. And I was in Afghanistan. I contracted in Afghanistan.
Oh, that's what's up.
So
what were you doing?
I was on a postal contract.
Okay.
So like I was on a military base in a war zone. It was a war zone. Like we would get bombed and stuff. But like, and I was over there. But the threat. I mean, you could die at any point. The threat of life is there. But like, it was just seeing other cultures, because on your military base is not just Americans. So you have people from other countries there, so you can dialogue and talk to them and just hear different accents that you don't normally hear, in America. So it was, and they're not Americanized. It's not like it's a person from this other country that came and grew up in America. No, they came from their country to Afghanistan to serve, military and non-military to work. So that was cool. And then because of that, I was on that side of the world. I had chances to go to different countries, which was cool. So, and I want to go back and travel on my own, and take my family to see those things. Because like you said, like when you start realizing that you're not the focal point of life. Right. And I think that entitlement,
and then
that
you begin
a lot
to have
of
a different appetite for new things too.
I love different culture food. Yeah. I love it. Not that I don't love the food that my people cook, but I just love different cultures' food. Like even at my job where I work now, I'm asking people I'm like, yo, when you bring me something that you cook. They're like, what do you want? I don't know. What do you like to cook? Like, you tell me. I love that. But just being out there and seeing those different things, you even think differently. You think differently. You know, and sometimes in some cases, it humbles you, especially when you see how other people live.
How they live.
And because I feel like sometimes as Americans, we can have this entitled mentality, and we feel like we're the center of the world, and we're not. I was talking to one of my coworkers today, and we were talking about it, and he was just like, yeah, America is a young country. Like, we're a young nation, you know, in retrospect to other nations around the world.
Cultures,
yeah. So it's just like, it does make you more cultured. So like, what you talked about food. What's your favorite food?
Ooh. Well, talking about food, I like soul food.
You like soul food?
But I like sushi. Sushi's
really?
my favorite. I love me some sushi.
I can't do it.
Yeah, I go to this spot called Sushi Katana right there in Millennia. Yeah,
I can't do
sushi.
it.
Really?
I tried it.
Is it the raw fish that you don't really like, or
But I like sardines though.
See, I don't like sardines.
Really?
I do not like sardines. I pretty much like any other fish, but sardines, nah. No sardines. I honestly could live with fish all my life if I had to choose. I would eat fish every day. Yeah.
I would do that. Salmon is my favorite fish.
Same.
I like salmon. I like tuna.
Me too.
I forget the other fish, but there's another one. I think it's tilapia.
See, I don't like tilapia though.
You don't like tilapia?
Tilapia's not good for you.
Why not?
Because of the type of chemicals that they be putting in the fish. If anything, you kind of would want to go as much as organic as much as possible. So I mean, the salmon's not even good for you neither. It's high in cholesterol. But yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it is. So, but yeah, sushi's bomb. You need to get on it.
My sister eats sushi.
It'll bless your heart. Yeah, it'll bless you.
My sister eats sushi, and she tried to get me to eat it. She's like, eat this one. This is my favorite one. I said, don't give me your favorite one, because I don't want to waste it. I said, just let me just try anyone. She's like, no, go ahead. You know, I could buy some more. I had it. I think I got a couple bites into it. I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, I love you some sushi. Put some spicy mayo or some soy sauce.
Soy sauce.
Good to go.
And then now it's all salt.
Huh?
That's all salt.
Oh.
So now you just covered in the salt. Salt makes everything taste better.
It does.
So I guess because I reached out to you, and I think I told you this before, like, quality speaks to me, man. Like, and I tell a lot of my guests, quality speaks to me, and Scripture has the perfect marketing plan. I'm gonna talk to y'all too, because Scripture has the perfect marketing plan for you, all my believers out there. Because man looks at the outward,
right? God
looks at the heart,
right?
So you can have the best heart in the world, if that outward ain't appealing.
Come on now.
People aren't just gonna click on your stuff, and that's no shade to nobody. Right. But like, I'm attracted to quality, just like everyone else is attracted to quality. So your quality that you displayed, that's what attracted me. Like, I clicked on your profile because your profile picture was quality. And then when I started scrolling down your stuff and just seeing the stuff that you were a part of, and just seeing what you were doing, I just wanted to come reach out to you and invite you onto the platform just to talk, man, because I feel like being in Orlando, I never was the one to look to bring people into what I was to what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? I always, wanted to reach out to people and be a part of what they had going on. But and I ain't really too much have much going on anyways. But like, having this show, I want to bring people on and just to see what they about. See what they're doing, their motivations, their drive. And I feel like you're a man that has a heart and a desire to inspire people outside of just, what you do ministerially. So I guess I just want to hear what drives and what motivates you, and some of the people or things that inspire you to even move the way that you move.
Well, like I was telling you, my background is ministry, preaching and teaching. Actually studied theology and biblical studies, And
Nice.
My upbringing, it showed me how important it is to lead and affect change outside of the church. And so what really sparked the desire in me to affect change beyond ministry lines and the four walls is realizing that in order for us to be effective, we have to have a seat at the table where decisions are being made.
Yeah.
You know, and so really seeing that in my community and recognizing how how important it is that, you know, just because we're able to minister the gospel, we're also supposed to be in spheres and spaces of leadership beyond the parameters of the church. And so I'm all about, you know, community empowerment. I am an advocate for change, and that's what I'm all about. And that's really the premise of what I'm all about. I'm really pretty much just desiring to see change in my community.
Yeah. Black community?
In our community as a whole, you know, our community as a whole. Black community specifically, yes. But just as a community as a whole. And so I find my work pretty much in intertwining spirituality and civic engagement. That is really where I find my purpose.
Yeah.
It's spirituality and civic engagement, and they intertwine. Those both worlds, they work hand in hand. And that's me. That's what I'm all about.
So I guess what are some of the things that you're working on and doing now? Because like I feel like a lot of, and you're political too. So, which is dope because I got a couple people in politics coming on the show.
Okay.
Because I'm a fan of politics. I like
Same.
politics.
Same.
My interest isn't where it used to be, but there is an interest. It's just different now because, like, I don't know if I told you this, if we spoke about it on the phone though, but when I first graduated, I got my GED.
Okay.
When I first got my GED, I went to Valencia for political science.
Oh, that's what's up.
And my minor was psychology.
Okay.
So,
wow.
Yeah, I like the way the brain works, how people think in the whys. I'm so attracted to the whys of people because I'm attracted to my whys in political science. And so when I started in political science, I was like, okay, nah, I want to know about it. I don't want to get in it. You know, but now, like being 35, I'm like, man, I really wish I'd have dove into that a little bit more to get to be a part of politics and not just, but I still feel like I can spark conversations and different trains of thoughts in what I'm doing now. So I like that. So I guess like, you know, because you were talking about spirituality and civil engagement. Is that what you said?
Civic engagement.
Civic engagement.
Yes.
I like that phrase.
Oh.
I think I'm gonna take that from you too.
Go ahead and
It's two phrases I got from you.
Steal it. Use it.
But like, so I guess like, what type of pressures do you feel? Or is there even any pressures when you're talking about spirituality and civic engagement?
You know, some Christians, they have this isolationist mentality when it comes to politics. Like we're in the world, but we're not of the world, right? But truth be told, we've seen in the Bible where the prophets in the Old Testament, they spoke to kings as often as they spoke to the people. And so spiritual leaders, we speak to political structures and systems that marginalize and oppress our people. We're supposed to do that. And so we shouldn't take this stance of, you know, we're in the world, we're not of the world. We're supposed to affect change. We're supposed to confront culture. I actually believe that spiritual leaders, we confront culture and culture confronts us as well. There's a mutual engagement that's happening. And we don't shun culture, we don't shut it down or withdraw from it, but we confront it. And that's what leadership is. That's what the fullness of, I believe, living in the fullness of who God has called us to be in the earth realm, not just in the church.
Yeah.
How effective can we be speaking to the same people every Sunday? We're not effective.
No.
You know, we're not effective. And so, you know, like I said, for us and for me, what I'm all about is making sure that I have a seat at the table where decisions are being made, how I can, you know, funnel resources in my community, how can I be a part of that decision making. And I think we need more. We need more of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we need more of that.
I think that's huge, because I think sometimes as believers, it's like we can sometimes get to a space, and I said this off camera, where we're content with praying for something. Like, not that prayer isn't something that we should do, but I feel like it just stops at praying. We'd rather pray about situations versus actively engaging those situations and getting our hands in the middle of it. And so I guess what you're doing,
you gotta pray. I'll say this real quick, Daniel. You gotta pray and get into the trench as well.
Yeah.
We gotta pray and do the work.
Yeah.
You know, we gotta pray and protest. Pray and, you know, affect policy change. Pray and do all of that.
Yeah.
Pray and vote. We gotta pray and vote, man.
Yeah.
We've seen that in this last election, like how important it is for us to vote. We did it in, you know, what happened in Georgia, you know, for the first time. Like, we gotta pray and vote. And so it don't say, you know, I don't believe, you know, don't vote and pray. That is not the right type of thinking that we should have.
And that's what I like. We stop at praying. Like, we pray and then there's a period. When after praying there should be a comma, like and, or the word and. I like where you put and. Pray and ... Right. That's a shirt, babe. But I think that, you know, we're content with praying, and we shouldn't be that way. Like, I don't know, man, because I was raised, like, my dad, one thing that my dad gave me was a strong work ethic.
Yeah.
Like, my dad gave me that.
Same
like,
here.
Like, yeah.
I got it from
I don't
my mom.
mind doing that. Like, I don't mind getting my hands out there and working. And I've done a lot of different type of jobs in my life. Even now, like, you know, working full time and still moving a media company, you know, so like you still like,
you're on your grind.
But I was born that way.
Yeah.
And if I'm not busy, I find myself getting into a lot of trouble and mischief. So I try to keep myself moving to something, but I have that strong work ethic. So when I got serious about my relationship with God, like, and I started, like, you know, being more active and taking my spiritual growth more serious, I just wasn't content with just praying. I didn't feel content with
because
that.
You knew there was more.
And then not only that, not really that I knew. I was just like, there just has to be more.
There has to be more. You want more.
God is, I want more.
Yeah.
If God is this, like, all-knowing, all-powerful being, like, it just can't be this.
Right.
If this scripture is supposed to be true, right? If it's supposed to be true and he's supposed to be that, then there has to be more than just this.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm going to go find out. Because I gotta find, not that I'm not listening to you, I don't believe you, I do, like, praying tongues, do all of that, like healing, miracles, boom, I got you. But I gotta go see if there's more. You know, and then that's why, you know, we pray and then we're just led by the Spirit. Like, we're just led by the Spirit, but you can't be led by the Spirit if you ain't going nowhere.
Period.
So, like, you kind of got to be moving. So I guess I want to, like, speak a little bit about if you have even encountered, what are some of the things that you encounter in trying to engage or affect culture the way that you're doing it? Because you're the first person I've heard this from. If any other people are doing it, you know, that's fine. I'm not saying no one else is doing it, but, like, you're the first I've encountered. You know what I'm saying? Because that's a bold thing to do.
So the thing about it is, you were talking a little bit a couple minutes ago in regards to how you wanted to see, you got to go to find it. Like, you got to go to find that next thing. You got to go to find that next push, that next, next. And so I have this saying, wise men, they travel. As the wise men in the Bible, they travel. Wise men, they travel. Because you will never be able to find or get everything that you need in one place. And so for me, I you know, born and raised in church all my life, okay? I'm talking about Sunday school, born, you know, that was just my upbringing.
Yeah.
And so
2 services
church,
a Sunday.
let me tell you.
I remember those.
Church is all that I knew. That's it. And even when I went to study theology and I was around different pastors and different leaders, and even while I was in the class, I'm like, man, like I'm just so anxious to like get out. Like I want to do more. I want to do more. I want to do more. I want to be more.
Yeah.
And so I think church, it's supposed to be a gas station that fuels you up to prepare you for the week ahead. Yeah. It's supposed to fuel you up with God, with prayer, with faith. And then you go out and you affect change in whatever it is that God has called you to do and to be.
Right.
And so I just wanted to elaborate on that because that was really good that you said that. Like that lets me know, like, you know, it ain't just me. Like sometimes when you know that there's more in you, you got to go find wherever that more is.
Yeah.
If that more is in a different country, if that more is in a different zip code, wherever that more is, go get it.
Yeah.
Because you're holding other people back by you not pursuing what God has called you to do. There are people who are literally waiting on you to tap into your purpose. Yeah. Waiting on you to walk in that next step, to walk in, to step into God's fullness, to step into the more that you're talking about. And we can't be so comfortable with our achievements or, you know, things on how we were brought up or things that we've accomplished, that we dismiss the tug. That's really God letting you know, hey Daniel, there's more in you. There's more mileage in you. Yeah. There's more mileage and so that for me, it's the language of purpose. That is the language of identity. That is the language of the kingdom of God, that stepping into God's fullness is really what he wants us to do, going from faith to faith, to glory to glory. And that more, I think for me, is letting go of the perception that I have to be only a preacher. I get emotional when I think about it because it's been a journey, man. Yeah, it's been a journey because when that's all that you know, and that's all that you've done. Yeah. When people see a different side of you, they're like, "Oh, who's this?" Yeah. They don't know who this is. Yeah. And there's elements of myself that I've had to overcome because especially perception. Perception will keep you in bondage. Perception will keep you stuck. Perception will, and it could be a good thing or a bad thing, you know, but you know, how people will perceive me. You know, if I go into a room, are they going to think that I have a political agenda or is this God's agenda? And I'm like, no, and I'm not on that. Yeah. There's no other alternative motive that I have. Yeah. It's God. Yeah. But my pulpit is not just behind a pulpit at a church. My platform is not just on a Sunday. And that's one of the things that I had to personally overcome. And I've never said that publicly, but those are things that I personally had to overcome of, you know, how will people perceive me if I become more vocal about politics. Yeah. And I don't even think it's either one or the other, because that's another thing, you know, when I was in theology school, I thought I had to do one or the other. Right. Either be a preacher. Yep. Or a politician. Right. And so these two aspirations they were playing tug of war. Yeah. And I was like, I can either do one or the other. And God's like, no, you could do both. Yeah. You could do both. And that's when I was like, well, I could do both. If he said it, I could do both. I don't care what none of y'all got to say. Yeah. And so that's one of the things that I had to overcome.
I will say this, because that brings me into two different points, right? Like for me, yours was politics or your faith, right? Mine was either rapping or preaching. For the longest, I would hear that I have to put down rapping. Like at some point in time, and I can't tell you how, from countless times, different people that yeah, you rapping and that's good, but one day you're gonna have to put that down and preach. And I'm just like, I don't know. Like I don't know. I couldn't rock with that. Not that because you got to look at the heart behind it. So I felt what they were saying and I got it, but it was just like I don't think that's how that works. Because you know what I'm saying, I still have a lot of rap left, and it's not that the rap wasn't good, because it's life music. I'm the type of person where like I'm not religious at all, and I just feel like our best testimony is the way we live our life. Not to say that you don't talk about God or you don't talk or share your faith with people. Share your faith, and I'm all about sharing my faith, but I feel like versus on trying to perfect this things that we say, this message. I think if we spend half of that energy on trying to be different people,
just be. That's the thing, though.
Just be.
That's how God. That's how He works. God says, be. Have. Then you can do. The world tells us you got to do. You got to do it. Then you can have, and then you can be. And then you'll be. It's the total opposite. I got to do this. I got to do this. I got to be in this network. I got to be in this clique. I got to do. And God's like, no, just first be. Stop. Just be what I called you to be. And then you could have, and then you could do. You can step into and live in God's fullness that way. And I think what you just said was so good, because it's like, I think we have. It could be a sense of an identity crisis in the church. I'm glad you segued there. I wasn't going to call it out, but do it, because I was going. It could be a sense of identity crisis. Really, do you not know who you are? Do you not know who we are? And so, what we do is we look at other people who are walking it out, and they're like, "You don't look like us. You don't dress like us. You don't talk like us." But they're more effective than you are. More effective than you are. They're more effective than you are, while you're just, staying. And if it's working, it's working. Cool. It's cool. If it works for you, it works for you. But I know for me, I'm not on that. I'm not even trying to compete with you. Nah. And that's the thing. That's another thing. Competition is heavy. Especially in the essence of the church, right? We compete with each other versus, you get that territory, I have this territory, and let's collaborate. Let's work on a sense of unifying the church. And that's why we have you can go. I'm from Miami, so I was actually born in Miami. And then my family, we moved here early 2000. But in Miami, there's a church on almost every corner that you go. Sounds like Orlando. For real. Like, you got one church here, you got another church on a corner. And I just be seeing this, I'm like, wow, like, why can't we like unite and be more of a, union versus being so like, you got your thing going on. And, but yeah, man, when it comes to just life outside of the church. I think that's what COVID had shown us. Life outside the church. God shut us down, right? We're not gathering. He shut us down so that we could become more of what we're supposed to be. Not do more, not have more, but to become more. I think that's huge, because and that goes back into what I hear when you explain that is religion and acts based. It's more on acts, like what can you do, versus what you're becoming, who you're becoming. You know what I'm saying? And what's happening internally. And like there was a lot of struggle, like, and I'm just gonna be honest, man, like I feel more peace and I feel more myself out here doing this than I ever did sitting there. And that's not a knock against those four walls, because they're necessary, they're needed. Right. They're my foundation. Mine's too. My dad's a pastor. My dad is still preaching to this day. Like, I grew up in church. Like, my dad's a pastor, had a church. I played the drums at the church. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in it. But that was needed, and I don't knock it. You know what I'm saying? It's needed.
I just think it's a pit stop and not a destination. You know what I'm saying? So you go there, you get what you need, but in your mind, in the pastor's minds, and the deacon's minds, and everyone's mind there, it's like you're leaving at one point. And prep that person to leave. Like your parents, they don't prep you to stay in that house. I'm prepping I have 3 children. I'm prepping all of them to get out that door one day.
Right.
All 3 of them. And when you go into the church, whatever condition you're in, come on, come in. Just know you're leaving one day. And you prep them up, and then when they're ready to go, that's why there's no tug. The hardest thing for me to do was to leave my church to go serve. And it's not like I was leaving to turn my back and be like, bump y'all. Like, nah, no bad blood. I'm just gonna go do something. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna go build this company.
But you know,
legacy.
I went to a pastors and leaders conference some years ago. And one of the concerns that the elders have, which I find myself recognizing and also to a certain extent I can understand, is we can't let it go. Like they can't just say, okay, the times are changing, we got to shift gears, and then they're afraid of they're afraid of losing control. They're afraid that the faith is just going to just be more liberal, and people are going to, because we're seeing it, people are becoming more liberal, people are becoming more,
I believe that.
Right. And as time goes on, we're seeing things that used to be shunned is now being accepted, and all types of stuff. And so in that regard, there's this idea that, we got to keep the church alive. We got to keep our traditions alive. We got to keep the clergy college alive. We got to keep, all of that. And I would even just put this out there. It's not a battle between the old and the young. That's not the battle that we're in. We're not battling between the millennials and the saints. That's not the battle that we're in. What the battle is, or what the struggle is, I would say, is the millennials and the elders coming. They both are at the table, and it's not the millennials saying to the elder, "Yo, what y'all did is old, is outdated. We got to put that away and be done away with it." That's not the language that we're saying. Nor should the language be from the elder. Y'all millennials don't know what y'all talking about. We're not changing, whatever. That's not the language we should have. The language that we should have is what the elders have done, what my great grandparents have done to position the church to where it is now.
Right.
We honor that. We guard that.
Facts.
But there's new weapons that we have now.
Yeah.
And our weapons may not only be used in the church. Our weapons is going to be in politics.
Right.
Our weapons are going to be in the entertainment world. Our weapons are going to be in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And we know our audience, and we're targeting that.
Right.
So I think that's kind of where the church is at right now, and I love it. I'm having a good old time.
Yeah, I like it, and that makes total sense, because we're not trying to change what y'all do here.
Period.
Keep doing that there.
Yeah.
But I'm going to take because I'm only telling the people out here, and I'm only engaging the world with what you equip me with anyways. I ain't bringing nothing new to this fight. Like y'all created this foundation in me. I'm just taking what you taught me, and I think that's where the conversations have to happen, because it's like a relationship. If you have a husband and wife and they both want the same thing, because the millennial Christians want the same thing that the older, like we want the same stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like you communicate what both of you want, and it's just like, hey, listen, this is how we can help. This is how we can assist. You can assist us, and we can assist you. And I think that when those conversations happen, no one is trying to knock or stop what the next person is doing. We're just trying to add to, you know what I'm saying, and assist with. And I think that when those conversations happen that way, then they just become understand, because it's not going to change. Millennials aren't going to stop. They're not going to slow down. They're not going to continue. We're going to continue moving, not stopping, not slowing down. None of that. You just understand and respect one another.
But even with technology, We've seen that with technology.
And they're getting on technology now.
Right. Technology is like, oh, at one point couldn't use an iPhone. Don't know how to, you know. And so now as technology has progressed, even the church has identified we have to invest in technology, high quality technology to reach people. So
And it's necessary and do it. I'm not one of those people where it's just like, oh, technology bad. No, technology, a computer has never done anything wrong. If you turn on a computer and sit it right there, it ain't gonna search no porn site. It's not gonna kill nobody. It ain't gonna cyberbully nobody. Nothing. The computer is just gonna sit there. It's when that operator gets behind it and do something. But we're so quick to bash things. And call them bad when things have never done anything. A gun never made itself. A gun doesn't fire itself. No matter if it's a semi-automatic, fully auto, sniper, shotgun, handgun, they don't do nothing. It's the operator. But we're quick to bash things, and what that does, it creates a nation of people who are not held accountable. And when you lose that accountability and ownership to choices, you know what I'm saying, you raise a bunch of adult
and maybe
brats.
People bash things that they're ignorant to.
Facts. Wholeheartedly.
you bash things that you're ignorant to. You don't know what it is, or it hasn't worked for you, so you bash it.
Fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
That's real.
Yeah.
Just why a lot of people, and me, I struggled with it before too, of fear of success. Oh, dude, I totally glossed over the identity thing. I had something I wanted to mention to you with identity, because I was going to ask you, do you struggle with pleasing people? Are you a people pleaser?
I don't struggle with pleasing people. I struggle more so with the perception part, and I'll tell you what the difference is.
Explain
I'll tell you
that.
what the difference. I think when you're a people's pleaser, you do anything to try to make somebody else happy, or how can I say it? Or if either you do things to make the other person happy, or people happy, or a certain group of people happy, or you don't do things because you are afraid that that you're not making them happy. But I think perception for me is, oh, I would rather stay silent, or I would rather be quote unquote a rebel and look like opposite to them when I'm not them. And so it causes this fear of, well, if they're gonna think of something about me, then I would rather not go down that route. But I think perception, for me, I think people pleasing and perception, it could possibly go hand in hand, but for me, it's not like, I don't go out of my way to please people. Yeah. For me, I that's not something that I do, but perception is like, I'm afraid. So I would rather is kind of take a step back versus actually headhunting and doing what I feel like I should do. Yeah. But that's something that I have overcome, and I'm continuing to overcome, especially in regards to ministry as well, because like I said, there's this idea that, you got to be neutral or be silent, neutral or silent. I'm not going to be neither. Yeah. I'm not going to be neutral nor silent. There's issues that we're dealing with, police brutality. There's issues that we're dealing with, racial injustice. There's issues that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis that may not be affecting me personally, but I recognize family members that are dealing with it. I have family members, coming out of prison, like that are facing, these political structures that we have in place. They are affected every single day. So for me, am I going to be silent? Or am I going to be neutral? Neither one. We're going to face these issues. We're going to talk about it. So yeah.
One of the things that I struggled with was like, I would get into these spaces and I wouldn't be as free as I felt on the inside. Like I would kind of like shrink to these moments or dim my light a little bit, because I didn't want anyone to think that I thought I was better than someone. I felt like I'm more important, or I'm more talented or gifted. So I struggled with that for the longest, man. Like I would go into public places and I would shrink. I would get involved in different things, and I would always be like, oh no, you guys go ahead, and then you do this, and I'm just gonna sit back here and I'm just gonna help. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't stand up or raise my hand to do certain things I knew I was gifted at. Get in front of public speaking, get in front of a mic, being able to effectively articulate thoughts and different things like that. Like I never went to school. So a lot of people, if you had that education, I would shrink back. But you know, I never went to school. It was never my thing. But I'm still able to communicate effectively. Like I still had that gifting. I just wasn't honed in a classroom. But I've always been able to do it, and I would never do that. And so, but I had to get out of that because it was hindering my
your purpose.
Yeah, and you know, your opportunity to succeed. It hinders that because if no one ever knows, and it's not even that they don't want to know. You think that they because people can use it. And they would like to capitalize off it and use it, and definitely you barter it for money. You leverage it for money. So like, you know, those different things. But when I got out of that and I started saying, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do. It doesn't matter how it comes off to anyone. Not that you want to be offensive in doing it.
Right.
But I'm just doing me at this point.
Right.
So I guess talk a little bit about like you get into the space, or what was that internal battle like for you to say? Because for me, like I said, I went through a moment of depression.
Wow.
Through a lot of stuff, and my wife would tell you, man, I just would sit, play the game, eat a bag of chips. I still eat a bag of chips, but you know, I do other stuff. But that's all I would do, man. Like, but I went through that moment. But I was thinking, man. I was thinking. I was processing. So I was like, yo, you can't stay here. You got to get out of this. You can't stay here. And thank God that you know, I was kept as I was going through that, because I knew I was like, I'm not gonna turn my back on God. This isn't a God thing.
That's what's up.
You know what I'm saying? I was able to keep my faith intact, but like, yo, you got to change this though. You know? So I guess talk a little bit about that and what that was, because you said you overcoming it every day.
Right. You know, like I was telling you, it's, for me, it was just knowing, like what you had experienced, knowing that there's more to this.
Yeah.
There's more to this. There's more to this sermon. There's more to this pulpit. There's more to these people. And really, you know, what can I do to bring about change tomorrow? You know what I'm saying? Tomorrow. Yeah. How can we funnel resources to our communities today? You know, and so we have to be in positions of authority. The Bible says, for unto us a child is born, and the government shall be upon his shoulders, which implies that it is the church's responsibility to be in positions of power and authority to rule and to legislate. And so I don't forsake that, you know, church is important. I mean, I love church, you know, I love God, I love God's people. But just because I'm churched does not mean that I am in church every single day. It don't mean that I don't have a life outside of church. It doesn't mean that I'm not effective outside of church. It doesn't mean that I don't have any giftings that are outside of the church per se.
Right.
And I think when we understand that God is he's trying to pull other things out of us than beyond than what we even recognize in ourselves.
Right.
There's things within us that sometimes we don't even know that's there. You know, I think of a keyboard. When I think of the fullness of God, and I think of just stepping into his fullness, I think of a keyboard. A keyboard has two colors, black and white. But when you listen to it, when you listen to music, you paint millions of colors in your mind.
Yeah.
And I think that is what purpose does, man. It's like, wow, like you're living in life in one key, but then when you start applying multiple keys, you're like, wow, I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. And then before you know it, there's multiple layers to you. You're not just a preacher, you're a businessman, you're a politician, you got this going on and that going on. And I think that's what God is trying to pull out of us. He's trying to pull greatness out of us. Yeah. He's trying to pull success out of us. And then that's when opportunities come knocking at your door, because you're like, oh wow, like I didn't even know I could do this. Yeah. Opportunities come knocking at your door, and then now you have legacy for your children, for your family.
Facts, yeah.
So yeah, I that's really what I believe but it's a journey too.
Yeah.
It's a journey. You don't wake up one day. That's why I love how true to yourself you are, because you don't wake up. Sometimes life gets real.
It gets real.
Let's just be real. Let's be honest. Life gets real. Bills get real, right?
Yep.
Relationships get real,
Yep.
and life happens. But how we pivot through that, man, that's what makes the difference. How we pivot through that, and like you said, you didn't leave God in the process. Sometimes when we be going through hell, when we going through life struggles, deuces. Throw the Bible away.
I gotta
you know
do
what I'm
something
saying?
else.
But for me, worship, it has always been my hiding place. When I'm going through a dark season, when I'm going through doubts, when I feel inferior, when I feel like I'm not adequate enough, worship is my way of escape. That's where I go and I get my protection. That's where I go to hide in God's presence. That's where I go to get counsel and an understanding. It's in worship, because I believe worship, as the Bible says, that he inhabits the praises of his people, which really means that he takes precedence wherever he's worshiped. And so when I worship him, I'm in his presence, and he's going to, in his presence there's a fullness of joy, and then as he gives you joy and understanding and peace that surpasses all understanding, you're like, I could do this thing. I could wake up tomorrow morning and face whatever that may come my way. I could look at people in the face. I could dream again. I could try it out. If I had experience of failure, I could do it again and see what happens. I think that's another thing that causes people to stay stuck and stagnant. Is the fear of failure. The fear of failure, like you're so fearful that if you try this, you're gonna fail, so you don't even try. And I talk a lot about failure on my show too, to different people, because failure is a part of the process. Failure is just another number, on the 10 steps to success. Like it's just a number, and it keeps showing up on those 10 steps. Like it'll be number 1 sometimes, it'll be number 5, it'll be number 8, 9. This week, week. Last week was horrible, right?
So it's just a natural part of life. It's just like anything else. But there were 2 things I was gonna mention to you. I forgot. I'm gonna get back to it later though. I forgot. It's gonna come back to me though. But I guess like the journey that you on, like what's your political strive, or where do you want to be in politics? Like, are you running for something? Are you prepping for something? Like where does that go for you?
So really my focus right now has been, like I said, intertwining spirituality and civic engagement. Like that's where I feel I'm called to. And eventually, Congress. Yes, Congress eventually. But in the process, making relationships. I recently, just in this last election, worked alongside some local initiatives and efforts to get people to go out and vote. And so that's really what been my focus is. And so, but yeah, like ultimately really is just help people, man. Just help my community, and funnel resources that are necessary in our communities. One of which, what I'm really passionate about, is education. We see that where other districts who have more higher taxpayers in those districts, that the students within those districts or those jurisdictions, they have more access to high quality education than communities that don't have, those amount of taxpayers. So definitely want to be able to advocate for those communities, especially policing. I really believe that we need to have a civilian review of policing with a federal level of oversight of policing as well. That's really what we need, especially they need us to tell them what's wrong. They need us to tell them, yo, this is wrong, that is wrong. And then the federal government, they need to oversee this. And especially, are we good? I'm so sorry, I keep doing that when the people are walking by.
Oh no, I thought the camera was shaking.
Oh.
Is it shaking? Timestamp it, babe. My bad.
Okay. I know you can edit that out. And then, you know, as well as economic development, that is something I'm very passionate about. Education, again, we need to be able to have capital for businesses, access to grants and low interest money, like low interest grant, low interest loans for Black businesses, and also student loan cancellation.
Student loan cancellation?
Student loan cancellation, bro. Like, we have a disproportionate amount of student loan debt. It falls on people of color. And I think we need some congruency, as well as we need to really focus in on how are we closing the wealth gaps in our community. And we see that. You can go to, like I said, you can go to districts where you have more tax money, more money is being taxed on the people, and then you go to other communities where it's not, and you look at the educational structure, look at how many you know, extracurricular activities that are in this school versus that school, and you're like, whoa, so that school has this, that, and the third, and then this school only has football and basketball. And you're like, so these kids, that's all that they think that's out there, and that's why I said, like, to explore the world beyond your orbit. So they're thinking, I can only be a basketball player. I can only be a football player. You know what I'm saying? So we have to really hone in on our educational infrastructure. That's why relationship is so important. Connecting with one another. And understanding how important it is to, like you said, to travel, live and explore and learn new things, learn new foods, learn new traditions, learn new cultures, and learn things that you don't even believe in. You know, even in theology, it like we study other religions. Why do the Hindus believe in what they believe in? That's the way I know how to minister to a Hindu. I know how to minister to people of different religions. Like, you got to learn that stuff. And I think when you learn one thing, you have an appetite to learn more, and to learn more.
It's all in understanding. It's all in understanding. and a lot of people, they fear those things, like we talked about, fear the unknown. You don't understand it, so you become afraid of it. And then you condemn and bash it. And that's not what you're supposed to do as a human. And that's why I like this platform, because people can come together and we have conversations. We don't have to agree on everything. You don't even have to like really know what the other person does, but it's just like you develop that understanding of who they are, and then you respect them as a human. That's the sit down, people. It's conversation. I appreciate you for conversating.
Thanks for having me, bro.
It's dope, man. So I guess let the people know how they can get in touch with you, where they can find you, because they want to support what you're doing, man.
Thanks, man. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Jordan Lewis Storey. You can find me on there. Yeah.
Dope, man. Well, look, I appreciate you for sitting down with me. Thank y'all so much for watching the sit down. Hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube. But you're a subscriber, I don't gotta tell you, you don't watch my stuff and not subscribe. Y'all not them type of people. So thank y'all so much for watching. Want to give a shout out to our sponsors, to our partners, taxmoney123.com. Hit them up for your accounting needs. Pinka, and then my favorite, most beautiful partner of them all, Oksana Tademy, the legacy coach. You guys can find our partners in the description of this video, and reach out to the guests, follow the guests. You know what I'm saying? Thank y'all so much for watching. Deuces. Yes, sir.